I'm sure what I'm about to say isn't going to come as a surprise to any. It's far from my most controversial take, but like Frosted Flakes, Deadpool and Wolverine isn't just good. It's great. It is unquestionably one of the greatest outings in the Fox-Men franchise. It lives up to the legacy of its universe, and at times it even reaches beyond it, doing so by acknowledging its lineage. This is a love letter to every Deadpool movie, every Wolverine movie, every Fox superhero movie, every Marvel movie that came before it. It may sound hyperbolic, but in actuality, I assure you, I'm underselling it. This felt like a grand event when the MCU was admittedly kind of at a low point. Self-admittedly, that is.
Welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining at a bit of a low point.
Does it feel like Marvel kind of hitting the panic button when making this movie? Absolutely. The mutants have been kept on ice by Disney for how long now? Only to be released with a rolling out red carpet of nostalgia acts? Yeah. Okay, but I'm not really one that cares about the circumstances. I care about the final product. I think the pressure being on probably helped matters in going all out with this outing. Then again, the Deadpool movies have never been one to hold anything back. Though that's not to say that there wasn't a cause for concern. What with this being the first X-Men project made following Disney's purchase of Fox. Luckily, they didn't disappoint. As a matter of fact, I would say it probably restored a lot of fans' faith in the House of Mouse. The third Deadpool installment sees the titular character hit an all-time low. Wade has lost the woman he loves, and with her, his sense of purpose. Leaving behind the red and black jumpsuit for a collared shirt. He's given up on the world, but he soon finds out that the world hasn't given up on him yet. Or at least, a world hasn't. Deadpool is called back into action to leave his dying world and join the mainline world. A cinematic universe worth marveling at. Now, Deadpool has always been maybe the most meta character in the history of comics, and now cinema, but the plot itself is pretty much a punchline. Fox is dead, and now Deadpool's joining Disney. It's not even an undertone, that's just the story.
Suck it, Fox. I'm going to Disneyland.
The monitor of all universes, the TVA, informed Wilson that with the death of Logan will come the slow decay of his universe, due to him being that universe's anchor being, and more realistically, the face of the franchise. So in an effort to save his universe and all those he loves in it, all 9 of them, he seeks out Elseworlds, looking for a new Wolverine to try to restore balance to his failing franchise, only to find out that the TVA doesn't accept his substitute and instead sends the two into the void.
Reed called it a metaphysical junkyard, where anything useless goes before it gets annihilated forever.
It's there they find the scraps of old scripts, scattered remains of fallen franchises, and lingering elements of stories that have long ended, with the whole place feeling like a hybrid between a barren wasteland and the land of the misfit toys. And it's there that they find survivors of series long dead. I think we've finally gotten to a point where comic book movies feel like actual comic books. Because where else would you get such an idea from? Larger-than-life adventures utilizing different variants of characters from all different continuities, all coming together to play a part in this one massive event. Mainstays from the MCU like Happy Hogan and B-15 make an appearance, with Alioth acting as a secondary antagonist. Several mutants from the X-Men movies have a part to play in the plot here, as we see the return of the original Sabretooth, the second Pyro, and the one and only X-23. Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four films shows up, to be confused for Steve Rogers, as the two heroes share an actor in Chris Evans.
We don't know that guy.
We thought we did.
Daredevil's Elektra returns, and Blade comes back one last time to reunite with his Blade Trinity co-star, Ryan Reynolds.
I don't like you.
You never did.
Even the Punisher makes an appearance via rocket launcher.
Which Punisher? There's been like 5 of them.
The Punisher, the Quicksilver, the Daredevil.
Daredevil, I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Okay.
The movie also sees a ton of Elseworld versions of villains acting as background bit players. But these cameos are played by different actors and actresses this time around. This includes the likes of Toad from the first X-Men movie, Lady Deathstrike from X2, Callisto from X-Men The Last Stand, Azazel from X-Men First Class, Psylocke from X-Men Apocalypse, and Juggernaut from X-Men The Last Stand.
You must be this year's Juggernaut. Thank you.
Making him the third actor to play the part in this line of films. Oh, and apparently this is supposed to be the Blob from X-Men Origins. But I don't really know about that. It just looked like a generic fat guy to me.
AIVI here. Something I found when editing. Is this supposed to be a gender-swapped version of Kid Omega? Kid Omega who isn't Kid Omega and is actually Quill?
Looks like it.
There were even appearances from other alternate antagonists from other Marvel properties. The Russian from The Punisher, Bullseye from Daredevil, they're all here. While the lack of returns in this case is definitely noticeable, these recasts are still acceptable, because a lot of these characters don't amount to much, and they're really just added muscle and window dressing for movie Easter egg hunters. Plus, these aren't explicitly said to be those characters, they're just supposed to be stand-ins that are reminiscent of them. These are other variants that kinda toe the line in terms of likeness. All of these recast returns aren't supposed to be the same exact character. They're just from adjacent universes that seem to be somewhat like the universes that we've already seen. Is that a little cheap? Yeah, sure, but the heavy hitters are still here. At least there's a narrative explanation for it. Also, while we're on the subject of callbacks, was the use of bye 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 in the opening credits a reference to this moment in X2?
I don't like uncomfortable silences.
What are you doing?
Or is it just a coincidence?
I don't know!
The movie doesn't just pay tribute to what was, it was also an ode to what wasn't. What with having a cameo from a fan-cast Henry Cavill as Wolverine, and managing to bring in Channing Tatum, finally giving him a project to play the part that he was cast in years ago. Of course, his place in the story isn't just wish fulfillment for Magic Mike over here. He's also around to have a couple jokes made at his expense. When it comes to Deadpool, meta is the name of the game. So, his whole role here is just very self-referential.
They call me the Gambit.
Do they? Are you sure you didn't just really want them to, but it never quite worked out? How did you all get stuck in the void?
Well, maybe I was born here. It's hard to know for sure.
Let's face it, our worlds forgot about us.
One never learned about us.
Lives we saved.
Or wanted to save. You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
I know what it means to feel self-doubt.
I don't feel that at all.
I'm good.
Gnawing at your gut like a coked-up tapeworm.
It's like you're holding up a mirror to my soul.
Still, it's interesting to see what a comic-accurate Gambit would look like, and what Channing Tatum would have been like as this character. Having said that, his performance is definitely played more for laughs than anything else, with the actor actually worsening his accent whenever Ryan Reynolds needed a punchline.
The name's Remy Labo. Du Diable Blanc. But you can call me the Gambit.
It's been a while since I've seen Sling Blade. Hit me again.
See them big hands come close, ain't not a one enough inside that.
What Gambit's trying to say is getting Juggernaut's helmet ain't gonna be easy. I'm just making stuff up.
We don't be knowing that lid ain't coming off without that dome gonna come off with it.
Who is your dialect coach? The Minions? I feel like we are missing critical exposition here.
Looking outside the movie's love for all things Marvel and cinematic, the movie also pays homage to the comics that paved the way for it. Later on in the film, showcasing many Deadpool variants referenced in the comics. Headpool, Dogpool, you name it, and they're here. Earlier on, we're also given a montage of many versions of Wolverine from the comics over the years, even showcasing some major moments in the history of the character. Moments that we may never get to see on screen otherwise. On the subject of the secondary lead and titular character, the return of Hugh Jackman does not mean the resurrection of Wolverine. The Logan from the original conflicting X-Men movies has still passed away. His heroic sacrifice in an effort to save the daughter he never knew, and a bunch of mutant youths, was the perfect period at the end of a 2-decade-long story. And while there are still Wolverine stories to be told, that Wolverine story has clearly come to an end. Which is why this time around, Hugh played a different variant of that anti-hero. And being as such, while he looks and at times acts like the Wolverine fans are accustomed to, he can also at times in some instances act completely outside of that. While he's still the same stoic, gruff, rugged, rough around the edges tough guy, this time around he's replaced a dislike for everyone else with a disdain for himself. In the past, more often than not, Logan appeared confused. having a spotty at best recollection of his past and severe trust issues that made him a bit of a loner. But we see now that even when granted clarity, Logan will only find misery in some form or another. Had a past that he wished he remembered. This one has a past that he wishes he could forget. As the circumstances that surrounded the character's origins have changed, so has the performance, with Jackman playing the part much more tragically now. There was always an air of sadness to the character, but he's now a self-loathing loner looking for comfort he'll never find at the bottom of a bottle, stuck trying to drown his sorrows, knowing full well that his demons know how to swim, constantly haunted by ghosts that he should have saved, and painful memories he could have prevented, burdened by the guilt of friends he couldn't save, fates he couldn't stop. This Logan is depressed and desperate, showering himself in self-deprecation. It's a much more raw and gritty depiction of the X-Men. This arc does a lot for the protagonist. Logan has felt like a loser, an absolute nothing, but is brought into a universe where he has a completely different reputation. And when he learns of his legacy there, he starts to realize his worth. All the good that this Wolverine has done, all the good that he himself could do, should he choose to follow in the footsteps of his prior self. Seeing people that his other self has saved makes him realize that he's capable of such contributions. And while he feels like he can never live up to his own legacy, he's inspired to give life a second chance when he realizes that all in all, he's not all that different.
Whoever you think I am, you got the wrong guy.
You were always the wrong guy.
In the end, he can never replace what he's lost, but he can stop others from losing the way that he's lost. Hugh Jackman has played Logan for over 2 decades now, with each installment further easing him into the character from the comics. From the very start, he's always been a good Wolverine, but over the years, he's progressed into the definitive Wolverine. The only Wolverine, Henry Cavill aside. Yet there are still some areas that this on-screen iteration of the hero stayed away from. Some areas of the comic character that were either unacknowledged, neglected, or undiscovered. And this, well, this definitely scratches that itch for longtime X fans.
Ooh, look at those jammies. That only took 20 fucking years.
The source-accurate suit certainly has helped matters. That was probably the one major and most heard complaint, for some, the only complaint that anyone has ever had about his time in the role. Well, that and he's too tall, but once again, here's the movie scratching that itch. Fans wanted to see this man behind the mask. They wanted their X-Men 2000 to go full X-Men 97. Deadpool and Wolverine makes the most of its member berries, acknowledging the past even when it doesn't always acknowledge itself. It gives us the first time on screen that Wolverine and Sabretooth are addressed as brothers in the present sense, before showcasing a showdown between the two now siblings, finally making this moment from X-Men Origins feel full circle.
You even know how to kill me. I'm gonna cut your goddamn head off. See if that works.
But the movie also takes its time to do something new with something old. The fight between the two Johnny hotheads was awesome in its simplicity. Watching as the Human Torch flames on, only to have his flames manipulated by Pyro? Perfect. Because it plays into everything we already know about both these pyromaniacs, and how their powers work.
I can only manipulate the fire. I can't create it.
The chemistry between the movie's main stars is magnetic. It's almost like these two characters, and by extension, these two actors were made to stand side by side. They are so much alike, and yet polar opposites at the exact same time. Both are former assassins for hire with highly advanced healing factors using adamantium blades. But they are two entirely different personality types, perfectly juxtaposed with each other. Two opposite sides of the social spectrum. The two work so well together that it's easy to forget that this is actually the first real time that they have. Yeah, sure, there was X-Men Origins, but they had limited interaction in that film at best. with whatever lines were shared between the two lasting seconds. And yet, despite that, since the very first Deadpool movie, there was a breadcrumb trail back to this universe's anchor beam, with Deadpool making mention of Wolverine and his actor on several occasions in the first 2 installments. One time even having the Australian actor make a cameo via archive footage. So in a weird way, these two characters have always been linked, but still, this is their first real major outing. This is the first and probably the only Deadpool and Wolverine, and yet they bicker and banter like lifelong frenemies. And it is so seamless. In addition to all the blasts from the past, are new additions. New inclusions include the rogue section of the TVA that now follow the path of Mr. Paradox. Mr. Paradox, who is an over-the-top suit in a suit. He's a guy that wants to play God, deciding when to destroy entire timelines against the company's wishes. He's really only around to set up the story and explain exposition about timey-wimey otherworld stuff. And when he's not doing that, he becomes the plot's punching bag and punchline. There's not a lot to this role, but the actor definitely made the most of it, and I found myself enjoying his time on screen. I don't know what the future holds for this character, maybe nothing at all, but I enjoyed his portrayal, and I actually hope to see more of him. And of course, there's the movie's big bad, Cassandra Nova, Charles Xavier's twisted twin sister. She is as creepy as her brother was comforting. Whereas he was a natural-born leader who took pride in his powers and treated them with great responsibility, Cassandra has never had to take responsibility for her powers at all, and has instead spent her life yielding them carelessly, taking a seat of power in the void at a very young age. Now, Nova is a character from the comics, but I wouldn't say that she was all that prominent. By description alone, she's probably one of the more goofy characters from the X-Men, and that's saying something. Charles's twin sister, whom he could tell was evil through telepathy, so he strangled her out in the womb? Yeah, that's her backstory in the comics. That's insane. Truth be told, this is one of the characters I never thought I'd be able to see on the big screen. I didn't see the merit in it. And I thought that this was part of the mythos that should maybe be shunned or otherwise just stayed away from. I mean, if they were worried that comic-accurate costumes would make the movie feel foolish, well then I couldn't imagine a world where a character like this got to thrive. Luckily, I'm not the one making those big calls because I'm just some idiot on the internet. Because not only was Cassandra Nova a more than memorable villain, but at times she steals the spotlight in scenes with Deadpool and Wolverine, who once again are the lead characters in the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. A lot of the time I feel like big bads can come off cheap. Marvel has always had a problem with establishing entertaining villains and keeping them that way. A lot of the time they just feel like silhouettes with a shelf life. But I'm happy to say that that's definitely not the case here. Marvel made a more than memorable interim villain, whose arc feels complete by the end of it. I like that she isn't black and white, good or bad. Calling her morally ambiguous might be a little bit of a stretch though. She's a shit-talking psychopath who plays with her prey before allowing Goliath to eat them, playing literal mind games on her enemies by literally playing with their mind. She knows she's powerful, and she'll make sure that you know it too. But she's still shown to have some compassion in passing, in intervals showing some sense of humanity, some traces of her bloodline. She tries to reach out and make a connection with Wolverine, seeming sincere in wanting to work with him as opposed to against him. She takes mercy on Deadpool and Wolverine by offering them transportation through Doctor Strange's portals. I mean, sure, she showed up shortly thereafter to end the universe and all universes, but she let them live before she decided to kill them. And I think that's gotta count for something. I don't think Cassandra Nova is necessarily evil. She comes off more like chaotic and lost.
My brother loved you.
He loved all of us.
Must be nice.
But still, extremely dangerous. So dangerous, in fact, that the TVA banished her to the Shadow Realm before she could become the world-eating threat she inevitably would. The situation is understandable as a universe-saving measure, but it's unfortunately unfair for Nova, At the end of the day, she was just some kid who grew up in wastelands and wreckages of worlds long lost. She never had a chance. But you can also understand why she was never given one. So when Deadpool asks her,
Why are you like this?
and she responds with,
I wish I knew.
I don't think she's being sarcastic. With all these new additions and old add-ons, it's easy to forget all that was lost in between the movies. While a lot of the Deadpool movies' primary cast returned in more minor roles in this film, there's plenty of people who didn't return to their roles at all. Domino, Cable, Weasel, Fire Fist, and a whole lot of the X-Force are all missing in action here. Some of these are acceptable. One is completely understandable due to outside circumstances. But I just think it's odd when Deadpool is specifically counting heads when talking about all the people that matter to him. Like, damn man, what went down with him and the rest of the X-Men adjacent team? I don't know, it just felt weird. The one thing I have to praise about this movie the most, though, is its tone. There's a fun factor to this movie that there isn't necessarily in every installment in this franchise. It's an entertaining movie that provides plenty of laughs in between must-see shocking moments. It's a movie that takes itself just seriously enough. It has a good sense of humor, it knows that it's goofy, it's presenting itself as such, but not every scene and not every action is defined by the comedy. There are still some wholesome, heart-wrenching moments in this that will stick with fans for years to come. It does everything right, and the title is perfect because it is in equal parts a Deadpool movie as it is a Wolverine movie. You can feel the weight of its moments. It can nearly bring you to the point of tears, but it's also not going to hold on that feeling forever, which I think is indicative of the character. Deadpool is a character that's born from tragedy, a character that treats life like a comedy. The meta-humor is a necessity in a Deadpool story, and it's doubly necessary in this Deadpool story, where we're seeing big on-screen returns after character retirements, after the franchise has been sold back to Disney, set to potentially join the MCU. We're not just talking about Easter eggs to the character's on-screen and in-panel history, or even a mention that his creator can't draw feet. There's also plenty of real-life references to the actors' real-life resumes.
Either you help us, or my friend here is gonna sing the entire second act of Music Man with zero warm-up.
There are 206 bones in the human body. 207 if I'm watching Gossip Girl.
I can gently tap the fourth wall, too.
The proposal.
It even includes the entire Reynolds family. Ryan obviously playing Deadpool, his wife Blake Lively playing the part of Ladypool, vocally at least, and his children voicing both Kidpool and Babypool. It's cute, and you know what? This is the right project for that. There is unfortunately a little bit of a dark cloud hanging over this movie now, and I'm not gonna say it ruins any enjoyment of it, but it doesn't help it. I don't know if I would call this a complaint necessarily as a me preparing to make a complaint. I really hope the next installment, or inclusion of this character in another installment, tones down the meta humor significantly. I'm not complaining about what's been done thus far, but I am acknowledging that we're getting to a point where it's about to get a little annoying. It's about to be a little too much. Deadpool is a real challenge, because when you're working with the character, you have to be over the top, because that's the character. But you don't want to overdo it and overwhelm your audience. The line between funny fourth wall break and really tired trope with an unfunny joke it's a lot thinner than you might think. I'm not saying I want this to stop, I just want it to maybe slow down, happen less. It's still always going to be a part of the character. I mean, if you're making a Deadpool movie and he doesn't at least once break the fourth wall, you're doing something wrong. But does it have to be 169 times in a 120-minute runtime? Like I said, I'm not complaining. I would like it toned down just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's acceptable here, but it won't be if they do it again. It's not the only almost complaint that I have. Likewise, I would also appreciate if maybe the next movie didn't do something to separate Wade and Vanessa. I get it, it's the will they won't they, but we're at a point where we know that they love each other. You're not endearing this couple to an audience, you're kind of just looking over it. The entire first film had the two apart, only to finally have Deadpool get the girl in the end. Then the next one sees her die, killing off whatever romance was between the two until Wade sets back the clock. And now the two have broken up in between installments. As always, they're back together in the end, because that just kind of seems to be the trajectory of this whole thing. But I think we've seen enough of their trials and tribulations as an item. Let's just let them be together. I know it's the whole will they won't they, but they already have. So let's just let them be. I also don't think that audiences are specifically going into these movies with the expectation of some great love story between the two. I mean, you kind of got that a little bit in one. She doesn't even really have a lot to do in the plots. So, you don't have to do anything crazy with her, just have her show up. Just stop tearing these two apart. It's already a trope, and it's one I've seen 3 times in a row. With all that being said, that was Deadpool and Wolverine, and if you like this video and would maybe want to see me take a look back at the rest of the X-Men franchise, let me know in the comment section below by leaving a comment saying,
I do like the X-Men.
I am vengeance. I am the night, and that was V Infuso. Just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.
So, if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too would like to become a V-generate, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, nerds!
And if you're not joining the fun, you're in for one bad day. And you know what they say about having one bad day?
Catch him next time. Same bat time. Same bat channel.